Now, another interesting thing that this study did was determine the sex of the individuals at the lake. And this is a really beautiful study that I think all of you should keep and show next time you hear a TERF on the internet say, "Oh, when they find your skeleton, they're gonna know that you were a man." Because with our cutting-edge modern technology of 2023, of the 27 skeletons found at Rookund Lake, there were only to decisively determine the sexes of 2 of them. There was 1 confirmed male and 1 confirmed female. And then with that, there were 4 probable males and 5 probable females, and 16 individuals remained completely unidentified. So take that bone powder in your J.K. Rowling pipe and shove it up your ass.
Damn!
Here we go. Hello. Welcome to the Transpositions Weekly. I'm Bree McCune, and this is Ember Ballarat, and this is our Halloween special because it is Halloween night. There are trick-or-treaters out roaming my streets right now, and I am a scary vampire. So, and Ember is J.K. Rowling's back wall now. But Ember is the fungus among us.
I am very mycelial today.
Yes.
Mostly because I have this hat, and I was like, I can do this. Yeah, this will be fine.
Let's be a mushroom.
Nobody put me on a pizza.
Oh my gosh, I have mushroom pizza right here. Because
I'm hungry.
Somebody bought me a Halloween pizza, so thank you, that somebody. It was really sweet of them. But tonight we are, as you might notice, we are without Steph at the moment, which Steph is working. Steph's got a full-time job that she's doing, and right now she's out on a big boat, or she was out on a big boat. She may be back ashore now, but obviously not ready to get back to hop on the show and help us run things. So
she's leading a crew of scallywags to take over the Spanish Main.
She is literally doing a Halloween sale. She's like the Black Pearl. Oh, that would have been cool if she showed up to work the sales in like zombie makeup or something, or in ghost pirate, like dressed as a ghost pirate, and like from Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, Steph, love to Steph. So glad that she's doing what she enjoys. That's part of it. There was this big attempt when she wasn't sure where she was going to be staying to. Not a big attempt. I made an attempt to get her to come down and stay with us in El Paso, and I couldn't. And she made this appeal to me. She's like, "You can't take me away from the sea." And I'm like, "Oh, I get that. Yeah, I totally understand that.
That's fair.
That makes absolute sense." She's gotta help me get in.
Yep, I just sent a link. I don't know if it'll go to this studio or what, but it's what the add guest button gives me. We're trying to bring our fourth compadre in.
Yeah. Oh, did that main link didn't work for Carly, right? Because is she not set up as a partner or whatever? Because I know that.
Yeah, I don't think we ever calibrated that.
Yeah.
We're taking refuge in Streamlabs because StreamYard is, well, practicing piracy.
Yeah.
In the give me your money. More of like a gangster kind of thing. I don't know.
Right. It's like Monopoly, sort of. There's our girl. Hey.
Hey, peeps. Well, how's everything?
No, doing all right. Looking gorgeous. I'll hear a little bit of echo.
Well, I'm looking. Well, I figured, skirt, programmer socks, got the cat girl thing. You're gonna get in Transposition Sports. You're gonna get to see the full thing.
Hell yeah.
Full thing.
All I ask, push me to the back. We got a little bit of breaking thing coming in, and we're adding that. We're gonna add that to the back of the show. We got some great stuff tonight.
Breaking news tonight.
Actually, it's something. It's something that happened, and I just got a lot of info on it in the last day. We had someone who is an icon in our trans community where I live in Connecticut pass away on Monday.
Oh.
So, and this person was very much a mentor to me. So this show will include a tribute to her. In addition to, we're going to take a look at the Nasty 19. We're going to look at the people who put together this NCAA's lawsuit. We're going to get under the hood and really take a good look at it. That's coming up in Transposition Sports a little bit later on. Me, I've got a little bit to finish, and I'll see you guys on the backside.
All right.
Sweet.
I don't know if Amber, were you hearing me twice? I was hearing an echo then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some feedback. I think
Yeah.
Carly had
That's
us
all right.
on like the actual speakers,
Yeah.
and the microphone was picking us. You know
Yeah.
how feedback works.
That's
It's fine.
how it works. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
But she will be back with some. It sounds like we're gonna get some exclusive coverage tonight. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. But it is Halloween tonight. Do you have trick-or-treaters that come to your neighborhood or no?
There was someone dawdling in my driveway when I pulled in, but nobody else was home, so I know there weren't any trick-or-treaters coming when I got home. They tend to pack it in early around these parts. Like, I remember when I was little, we didn't go out until it got dark. Now it seems like everybody goes home when it
When
gets
it gets
dark.
dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of the
the
part of the
spooky,
thing.
though.
Yeah, that's why you had glow sticks and stuff. We had like glow stick bracelets. When I was really little, they only had the glow sticks that were just like the sticks, like what a caver would use, and you
Yeah, I
carry
remember
those
when
with you.
I remember when they first came out with the ones with a little hole drilled into one end so you could tie a string through them and hang them around your neck. Like, that was a new innovation.
I did like putting them on my plastic, because everybody had plastic bucket jack-o'-lanterns back then, and you could put the glow stick in there and it'd make it glow though, which was you thought that was just the coolest, neatest effect, but
Yeah. I mean, once they took our radium away, you make do with what you got.
yeah. But they used to make like polonium, like the rings you would get inside the cereal boxes. One of them had like polonium in it. Could you
good.
imagine? And it's been sitting in there with your cereal for however long it's been.
I know. People keep saying, why are the boomers like this? Well, they radium everything, polonium toys, chewing on lead painted. I mean, the fact they lived as long as they did is kind of impressive. Pesticide everything, all the DDT on all
Silent
the food.
Springs. I actually have a video on my main channel, that's Hive about Silent Springs. So if you're that kind of environmental stuff interests you, go check that out. Because we watched the DDT promotional videos that the government put out in the 50s. They're pretty cringe. Trying to control fire ants. Yeah.
Yeah, weird stuff. Oh, and all the nuclear testing. Like, that got really crazy in the 50s and continued to expand for quite a while. Yeah.
All over like New
Yeah.
Mexico and goodness.
I know.
I won't be too far from
The
that
world is
stuff.
still here is miraculous. Wowzers.
There's that sad documentary, The Radium Girls. I haven't seen that. Have you seen it? Can you give me a synopsis?
Well, I don't know about a documentary. I know about a stage play, which may be based on the documentary or the other way around. I don't really know, but I didn't see it, but I work with a lot of community theaters, and one of the ones that I work with produced it, so it's kind of like a third-degree vague familiarity. But TLDR, it's like based on the girls who worked in the factory producing like various products, like watches. They would paint the numbers on the watches in radium so that you could see, and they'd like lick the paintbrushes in between because it made the paint spread better or some such.
Oh man.
and so many of them got like mouth cancer and such. It just crazy shit.
Oh my goodness. That's
I'm
so
probably
sad.
thinking of like an incidental tiny detail of the story, and I have no idea what the actual plot is. But
That is so
whatever.
sad though. I mean, think about that. Like you spend all your life doing this to work to get things done, and then it freaking ends up being what kills you. But
I
yeah,
mean, it's true of all capitalism, though.
they used to put I used to paint clock faces and stuff with radium to make it glow. And glow in the dark. There's all sorts of products that they used to sell. And then what's the glass? Was it uranium glass or whatever?
I think we still make that.
Yeah, which like glows by itself. And yeah, people make dishes and chalices and stuff out of it. It's really cool looking, but yeah.
Yeah, you can buy some now on eBay, and you can get a fake version on Etsy, which is it's actually just normal glow in the dark chemical, but it's made to look like the old stuff. So you just like hit it with a UV light, and it'll glow for half an hour or so.
Yeah. I have UV lights available. I really do.
Yeah.
I need to get a UV flashlight though, so I can go find scorpions when I get to the desert.
Oh yeah, those are so cool. I had two of them. My oldest swiped one for a science thing, and it hasn't come back yet. And I got it for UV photography, and I haven't done UV photography in over a year, so I'm not quite sure where the hell it got off to.
All right, and also I gotta say, because Halloween and whatnot, we did a costume contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
place your bets on who won, folks.
oh, why do you do that?
Oh, it's rigged. It's a fix.
Why is it showing up like that though? That's super weird.
It's like a screen share sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we're seeing something different on stream.
Yeah,
That's
on
weird.
stream it's not letting me share it.
Oh,
What
rude.
the heck? Let me try something different. Let me
Oh,
try it.
it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I
But I
can.
can-
We can do.
We're working the technology, folks. Live broadcasting.
Nope, it's not gonna work that way either. Dang it. Well, I got other ways around it, not using the. Yeah, maybe if you share as the guest, it'll. I've never used my OBS in conjuncture with the Streamlabs Talk Studio before, so this is a new venture for me. We're always trying new stuff over here at the TransPositions to try to bring the show to you a little more. There you go. All right. So, yeah, we had Carly as the football star, Ember as the sky captain, and I was the clown core. And I won! Yay! I won. Now, I like this costume a little better right now. I've been sitting on this wig for a while because I've been wanting to do this Rain from Blood Rain Halloween costume, and now I don't know if anybody's going to know who I'm supposed to be.
One?
What's that?
Did I hear that right?
The clown one.
Did you get the? Oh man! Oh come on! Did you get the? You just wait till you get to see the whole effect of this new look I got going.
Yeah.
I demand a recount.
We're gonna get a recount for tonight, or we could do a count for tonight's costume.
Ooh, yeah, we could do a poll in the chat. People
Yeah.
love polls. And that's a
Yes.
tool that we don't have to get to a certain subscriber count to use.
So let me see. Do I have a way to do this with... Okay, that pulls me up. But I lose Ember. Let's see how we're going to do our topics tonight with it doing that stupid screen share thing. When I share it. What if I drop the links to you and you try to share it? I wonder if it'll not do that. So let me try this. In our private chat, I got some links here for the topics that I have lined up for tonight that I was intending to share. Didn't realize it was going to do that, though. And then see if you can't click on those and screen share them.
A screen share works. Streamlab. It's fine.
Ember joined.
It's fine. We got this.
All right, there we go. All right. Here's our first topic. Of course, we were talking about nominating Vivian Jenna Wilson as the trans person of the year. Let me go back to the stream share. There we go. All right, yeah. We were discussing making Vivian our trans person of the year. This Elon Musk's daughter that he came out, what was that, in July? That Elon came out and was like, my daughter was killed by my son. What he said, he misgendered her, but
Yeah.
the woke mind virus killed her. But
Yeah, I forget when that is. August.
It was in August. That was more recent than I remember. But
Oh,
yeah,
there was another one in April.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. April was the interview with Bill Maher. August was the interview with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the thing twice. Because he's...
Yeah.
I pay no attention to that asshole.
It's like he said, I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older, refers to her as a boy, and he said I was told Vivian might commit, and I'm sure he dead named her there because it's in parentheses. He didn't say,
of course,
Vivian might commit the S word. It's incredibly evil. The people promoting this should go to prison. And if you see Vivian now, and you see how she's living her freaking life, she's living her best life, right? She seems happy. She's she's healthy. She looks healthy. She's smart and witty. She's not doesn't she I wish I didn't have the struggle that I wish that I had been able to go through these steps that she was able to go through. So I am so happy that she got to transition young when she did. And if they had to trick that billionaire guy into signing documents, if that's what it took, I don't care. That's what it took, because she needed that. Obviously, look how happy and healthy she looks now. But yeah, she clapped back. She said, "I look pretty good for a dead bitch."
That's right.
Which was fantastic. And then we had she said that Musk was desperate for attention and validation. So I guess recently Andrew Tate decided he wanted to throw his hat into the conversation.
Yeah, what was that all about?
Well, Andrew Tate, if our audience doesn't know, I'm glad if they don't know, because screw this guy. Andrew Tate is this. He was a kickboxer or something, but he's mostly prominent for being like a red pill influencer who fleeces incels and sex traffics young girls. And
yeah, he's the alpha male guy who can't get laid without criminal activity.
Right. Yeah, and there's videos of him confessing to committing the R word. Right? There's audio clips of him saying that he did that to somebody, like doing like a half-ass apology about it, honestly. But he's a sick individual. He's on house arrest in Romania at the moment, where he's going to be tried for sex trafficking. He's famous also for getting torched by young women that he tries to dunk on. Recently, when was that? Was it last fall or was it longer ago than that? Greta Thunberg, the climate activist, totally like shredded Andrew Tate in his nonsense. Yeah, human trafficker. Anyway, so he tries to throw his hat into this conversation, and he says until Elon Musk's he calls her son, but obviously it's a daughter. But until Elon Musk's daughter stops pretending, and then he misgenders her, that she's a girl and puts some rockets into space, she should speak to her father with some respect. He has catching up to do before he's allowed an opinion. Yeah, Andrew Tate with his words of wisdom. Now, I don't know where we are on this because we're kind of left hanging with Jenna saying, "Hi, Andrew. I'm busy at the moment because I have a life rather than being on house arrest in Romania for, those crimes." However, I'm feeling gracious, so I'll do you a favor and make sure I take some time out of my schedule to publicly humiliate you later and give you the attention you desperately crave as your relevance continues to decline. Don't worry your closeted little head about it. So, we have... Actually, I'm kind of curious now if she's said anything in the last couple hours. Because...
Yeah. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I want to see.
She did when was this from? This like yesterday?
Yeah, this was just recently.
October 30.
In the meantime, I'm sure you'll make yourself busy by continuing to scam your audience of preteens who think you're a god. Cheers. That was yesterday. So far, it doesn't look like there's been any development on it, but we will bring you updates as to how Vivian ends up roasting Andrew Tate. I'm sure it's going to be like super Greta Thunberg level, but we'll have to wait and see. But Andrew Tate is garbage, and yeah, I mean, what else is there to say about that? All right, you know who else is garbage? Ted Cruz. Let's pop up that next link.
Do. Hear this tape. Okay, AGW8 NBC affiliate.
Yep. And this is what Beaverton School District asked Ted Cruz's campaign to remove an attack ad featuring 2 Oregon students without permission.
Oh, he's showing illicit video of minors?
Yes, and not only that, but the minors that he's claiming are trans in this video are not even trans kids. They're just cis kids.
They gotta lie.
Yeah.
I don't think they're even capable of telling the truth. Like if there were, like Aiden Gallagher, for example. He couldn't show a video of Aiden Gallagher because that would be an actual trans kid, so he would be telling the truth. So he contractually, as a Republican, cannot show that. He has to show a lie.
Yeah, it's in his contract, I'm sure. Yeah. The Beaverton School District has sent a letter asking Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz, Ted Cruz's campaign to remove an attack ad against his Democrat opponent, House Representative Colin Allred, or on transgender athletes that feature 2 Oregon high school students. The photo seen in this ad implies that that at least one of these students may be transgender, when neither one is, the district said. The photo was also used without permission, the district said. Good grief. The photo appears to be taken from Bend, Oregon news station story in April about transgender teen running in Oregon high school state track meet. The news station spoke with one of the girls seen in the photo who ran track for Bend La Pine School District High School about her reaction to a transgender student participating in a track meet. The student has since left the district. The girl in the photo next to her is seen wearing a Westview High School sweatshirt, part of the Beaverton School District. The student was not interviewed for the story and is only seen in the image. In the ad for the Texas Senate race, the image is edited next to a photo of Colin Allred with a caption that says, Colin Allred voted to allow boys and girls sports. The ad doesn't make mention of the news story, nor does the context in which the photo was used in the story. The Beaverton School District sent a letter to Ted Cruz, or Ted Cruz's campaign, asking it to pull the ad from all distribution platforms immediately. The 2 athletes' pictures are minors. The one on the left in the Westview hoodie is our student. The family nor the school or school district ever gave permission for this photo to be used, the letter said. In addition, the ad implies that at least one of the athletes in the photo is transgender. Please know that both of these athletes were born female, or they're AFAB, and identify as female, and they are not transgender. So they can't even get it right. They never get it right. That we can always tell people can't ever tell. If a little girl has her hair cut too short anymore, if she has a pixie cut, they're screaming and throwing things at her as she tries to participate in high school or in junior high track, doing shot put, which happened earlier this year and was extensively covered by our own Carly Chardonnay Webb. So this is, something that's near and dear to this channel's heart is letting these freaking kids play and not using them as freaking political martyrs. They're children. These kids aren't even trans. Nothing about them is trans.
Not that there should be any problem with it if they were.
Right.
It's just another example of how fucking inept Republicans generally, but Cruz's staff in particular, are. Because you know what happened is somebody just Googled transgender high school sports, found the image, and just went, oh, one of them must be trans, and ran with it.
Right. It was lazy. They didn't look into the story they were reporting on or who was pictured. And they just ran with it. One of these kids is trans. They got to be because the story says it's about trans kids. So
also, it's also worth noting for clarification. Both Carly and I have mentioned this previously, but Ted Cruz himself is responsible for putting a boy into girl sports by being part of the general establishment that forced Mac Beggs. I remembered a sports person's name. Mac Beggs to wrestle the high school girls team. And he won the state championship 2 years in a row because he was on testosterone HRT, and they made him play with the girls despite his request to shift over. So Cruz literally did the thing he's accusing Colin Allred of doing, but whatever.
Yeah. He's the, like, and when you think of that, that's really the one that stands out of who's made boys participate in girls sports, and that's been Ted Cruz consistently. He's the guy. So kind of ironic that he would try to pin that on his opponent. But hopefully they comply.
It's a mirror propaganda. When you're doing something horrible, accuse your opponent of it first. Every accusation is a confession. At least from the right. It's literally in the fascist playbook. How we do.
Just that the nature of Cruz's campaign is built on, just hatred of children. It's kind of bizarre. It's like,
yeah,
I hate these little trans kids.
That's been true of the religious right for a long time, ever since Reagan fused the GOP with the evangelicals, because they've needed to project danger to children. Borrowing from Anita Bryant and Phyllis Schlafly's shtick, who will someone think of the children? Because half of their people are doing naughty things to children. Like, every week, there's at least 4 major news stories of some, like, whether it's a Catholic priest or a youth pastor or a church school teacher doing something naughty with the children. And to keep everyone's attention off that, they have to keep projecting, oh, it's the drag queen story hour. Oh, it's the trans people existing. My dude, Ted, if you're not too busy hiding in Cancun because you're too afraid of Colin Allred, perhaps consider what you're doing versus what an 8th grade wrestler or track star or whatever is doing. Like, how is an 8th grader grooming children, whereas you're over here telling kids that, they have no bodily autonomy? What the fuck, my guy?
Oh, Cruz is just the worst. Oh, and I'm going down there to take him down. That's what I'm doing. My vote is gonna be the one that tips things over next election cycle.
It's a solid plan.
Well, it's too bad I couldn't get down there earlier, because my vote here in Illinois is pretty much worthless, right? I live in a red part of Illinois, which is a blue state because of Chicago, but I'm not in Chicago, so my vote doesn't really matter out here. It's like, yeah, a fart in the wind, I guess. But in Texas, my vote would make a difference. So, yeah.
Quite possibly. Sadly, I was going to suggest you could just run against him and take his damn seat away, but Texas Constitution stipulates you have to be a resident for 5 years before you can take a Senate seat.
Oh, I can't stay in Texas for 5 years.
Fuck that.
Yeah. I'm just going to go down.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm moving down there long enough to fuck shit up, and then we're gonna relocate to someplace more progressive. But
yeah,
we got some activism to do first, so
that's right. Got shit to do.
Mm-hmm. And with the border shit too, so I'll be right down there by the border. And I know that's a huge talking point for chuds in general right now. What about the border? The border.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Everybody should be just concerned about.
Well, have you noticed there's caravans suddenly again? Like 4 years ago, the caravans are coming, and then the day after the election, poof, they vaporized into thin air, and now we're right on top of an election. Now, there's a caravan from Nicaragua, and it's bringing Venezuelan criminals, and it's coming through Mexico. It's doing it the old Oregon Trail style with covered wagons, because it's taking them a month to get there.
It's funny, too, because they don't know which countries to bash on. There was somebody that I saw that they sent like a postcard saying someone was going to have the immigrants from Belize come and stay at their house or whatever. Belize is like freaking nice. Belize is supposed to be like one of the best countries in the Western world to live in. They just lump them all together, though. They think, country with brown people, it must be poor and desolate. Like Belize, Brazil, Peru, they have economies, right, of their own.
Do they? I thought the whole world ran on good old U.S. dollars.
Yeah, right. And that's what they'll do is they'll compare to make their point. They'll compare the gross economics of these tiny Latin American countries or whatever to the U.S. and be like, oh, look how much more revenue the U.S. economy turns or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's like 40 times as big. So that should be expected. Wow. Yeah.
I'm Ted Cruz, and I approve this message.
The 30-second ad posted to the Cruz campaign's YouTube page has been viewed more than 6,000 times.
I hear you.
It attacks his opponent's record on
the damn thing started playing on its own.
Yeah.
How rude. Well, since it's there, let's see if we can
play
find a stupid photo. You want to just play it? We can do that.
Let it play, yeah.
We're not monetized. Fuck it.
Oppose Texas state law.
It focuses on transgender youth participating in sports. At the end of the ad is a photo shown for 3 seconds of 2 Oregon teens. One wearing a Westview High School sweatshirt and another in a track uniform. The photo appears to be taken from a news report by a Bend news station in April, talking about a transgender teen running in the state track meet.
So that would have been Aiden Gallagher.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's fun.
And neither one of these children had anything to other than I think one of these was actually one of the kids that was speaking out against Aiden Gallagher, isn't it? So it's kind of ironic.
Seems to be what's implied, yeah.
That they would use this person and say that's a trans person. So bizarre.
Extremely.
Not the brightest.
I'm curious if it was the news or the campaign who blurred the kids' faces, because I feel like the news would definitely do that, considering the controversy over the photo. I don't feel like Cruz's campaign is actually that careful. Like, it'd be counterproductive because you're supposed to be able to see these little girls are being impacted or whatever. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to these kids being impacted, you can see that it's not just this trans kids, which are few and far between. It's mostly cis kids with the wrong haircut, or that someone thinks looks too masculine,
or if they're too good at anything, right. Boxing or running or
wrestling, chess apparently, darts.
Oh yeah,
we've had lots of chess and darts here lately.
Yeah, adventures.
All right. Well, we're getting to the part of the night where Ember usually has to dip, but yeah, let's before you do, let's get a look at that costume.
Sure.
Yeah, there we go. We have Ember, Queen of the Fungi, the Mushroom Maiden.
That's right. Right. I'm the queen of all the fun guys. If they buy me a drink first.
Mycelial Mistress. I'm out. I'm out. I don't have any more alliterations in me at the moment, but
it's okay. We can improvise. If I had gotten any sleep this week, I'd have at least a couple, but alas.
Yeah.
No rest for the undead. Yeah.
All right. So, any closing statements or build up that you want to provide for tonight's good news?
Well, there's. You may recall the most recent episode of the standalone good news got a little heavy. Today's gonna get even darker, so buckle the fuck up. Happy Halloween!
Buckle the fuck up. Yeah.
There are some treats after the tricks, though, so to speak. I wish I'd put in actual tricks, though. Like a prank in the middle of the thing would have been fantastic.
Hey, Carly. How's things rolling along for us? Did you get your exclusive? Oh, I don't know if she can hear me or not.
Maybe, maybe not, maybe so.
Well, let's yeah, we're gonna move right into some good news for you though. So yeah, let's
Hell yeah. Whee!
Always good. Always good to have the good news.
yes.
That's
And I
that's
like-
right.
And
There's
I
so
like
much.
and I like the campaign rundown last week. Who's running?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Everybody who's elected and who's running.
yeah. I thought that would be helpful, and I mean, to like demonstrate where the people are, what they're up to. Like there's so many more of us than people think, but in the grand scheme of things, there's so many fewer of us than our haters try to imply. Like I said,
Well, you
then
know, we're-
it's
well, you
it's
know,
something
that's
like
that's that step of fascism. You know, we're weak and we're strong at the same time. How does that work?
Mhm. yeah.
But no,
out of
I'm looking forward
almost
to seeing some. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of gains. I hope. One person I can't wait to see get a resounding victory. I'm looking forward to that race in that House Representative district in Missoula, Montana. I'm looking forward
yeah.
to seeing Zoe Zephyr get sent back with another 80+% margin. If nothing else, just to stick it in the eye of the Republican to try to drag her down the streets of hell enough in 2023.
Hell yeah.
That would be the ultimate bird flip to see her get reelected and to get it reelected by an even larger margin. And by the way, if you haven't seen the New Yorker mini documentary on that whole time, the censuring, getting thrown out, having to work on a bench outside the chambers, and ending with that beautiful, wonderful engagement, you should. It was a beautiful story. It's stories like that that give me hope.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons that I started that project on Transparency Talk, because while we do try to focus on good news and the rest of Transpositions, we try to focus on interesting, engaging content, there's not enough positivity. Like we're limited to what actually happens in the news. We need more. We need like overwhelming positivity. We need hope. We need inspiration. So that's why I've been trying to collect stories from inspiring trans people so that there's that beacon of light out there. There's something more than just a healthcare ban got overturned or something, you know?
And
exactly.
That's the thing, the struggle. And that's what I strive to do with Transposition Sports as well. Because, yeah, all this stuff is happening, but also it's good to talk about the positive stuff. And that's one thing, since we're getting into like the last couple months of the year, it's been a great year. I'm looking for myself. It's been a great year. One of the best things that happened to me was joining this, was being a part of this and having an opportunity to practice another piece of my craft again, which is in the visual realm. It's been great. But also to have the opportunity to bring stories into our people that our people may not know about. I mean, how many of our people, and I know how a lot of our community is about sports ball.
Yeah, well.
I know how people are, oh, it's just sports ball, but they don't realize that there are trans people in the sports world who are also speaking out. Who are also standing up and speaking out. One of the most prominent is Alana McLaughlin, who is a grade A nuclear weapons grade badass.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You all have both had exclusive interviews with Alana here in the last couple of months since her documentary came out. And that's the thing, too, is people will say, oh, I don't like sports. It's not a matter of liking sports. It's a matter of making sure that trans people can participate in all the stuff that cis people can.
Well, here's my thing. If you didn't like sports, but all of a sudden you see somebody that looks like you and is going through a piece of the struggle you're going through out there doing it, that's what makes a fan.
There's another aspect of it as well. I'm reminded of a documentary on Jackie Robinson, how some historian or other was talking about how he and Martin Luther King found inspiration from each other because
Oh, there. Oh, you're talking
breaking
about the
barriers.
story. No, you're talking about the stories in 1962. It was a meeting in Atlanta. It was Jackie, Roy Campanella, Hank Aaron, and Willie Mays. They're at MLK. They're at MLK's kitchen at his house in Atlanta, and MLK is talking to these four titans. These are four of the best in the major leagues. These are the. I mean, this is the creme de la creme, not just of black major leaguers, but of major leaguers. Four future Hall of Famers sitting around a table, and Martin Luther King is telling these four, I want to thank you, fellas, because of what you've done in that ball field. It made my job a lot easier. And they're all completely gobsmacked. Their jaws on the floor saying, wait a minute, we made your job easier? How? Because to them, they were like, Hank Aaron said, I looked at him and said, we're just ball players. And Martin said, no, you're not just ball players. You see, Jackie starting what you did, Roy what you did, and Hank, Willie, what you've done and doing, you got people's minds ready for change. And there's a lot of truth to that, because I've met people who said, I was an 8-year-old boy when Jackie integrated baseball in 1947, and seeing that as an 8-year-old boy led me to become a freedom rider as a 24-year-old man. Seeing that example gave me the nudge to get on that bus, knowing what I would go into trying to register voters in Mississippi. Knowing what I would go into. Knowing that I might get my head bashed in. Knowing. But they said that example in 1947 spurred them on. And in some ways, it may be the same thing here. I'll tell you this much. It was the example. Fallon Fox opened up a door that Alana walked through. And at the same time, seeing Fallon and Alana do what they did, and also seeing a lot of other people do what they did. I think of two other people that come to mind. I think of Jacqueline Taylor Cook, and I think of Erica Meacham. And Erica's somebody I've got to get on this show, because Erica, especially when it comes to trans women playing regulation full-out football authentically, Erica was a long-time quarterback in 4 different leagues over 13 years. She was our Unitas in many ways, and it was her example and Jacqueline's example that led me to just give it a shot. And now I'm doing it, and I'm getting ready for my 3rd season. So
hell yeah,
it's opening doors, and I think, and one thing I'm hoping is that those doors are not shut. And it's not just in sport and art, just in living. Let those doors be open. Yeah, I know, for example, as problematic as it is, it was good to see 2 girls like me on the Victoria's Secret runway fashion show a couple weeks back. Yeah, I know, problematic as it is, it was great to see. It's good to see that I believe in Miss Universe, 3 of the women in Miss Universe in Miss Universe are trans.
At least 2.
It's good to see that. I mean, I personally, I'd love to have a speed skating date with Miss Netherlands. I would rather enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's all over the place. I look at so many of our people. I look at my business. I greatly look up to a Christina Call. And I can't sing her praises enough for what she's doing, just as an example of what she's done at every stop she's been at in her journalism career, but also the way that her sports desk is covering this this forfeit nonsense. They're the only major news outlet that's actually asking the hard questions. They're the only one that's doing it. The San Francisco Chronicle is actually digging and trying to uproot the story and ask the hard questions. No one else is doing that. No one else is doing it. The sports networks are not even touching the story. They're not even touching it. They're treating this like those radium watches y'all are talking about. They're not touching this one at all. And that's like I said, we're gonna get into it a little bit more in transposition sports in just a little bit. Of course, oh yeah, Kirby the cat making an appearance.
Yay, Kirby!
Kirby's in there tonight. You're gonna be seeing more of Kirby.
Oh yeah.
We are always
seeing more of Kirby.
We always welcome Kirby. Kirby is a member of the TransPositions news team, so that makes sense. Specifically,
that's right.
Kirby is a producer on the Transposition Sports, so co-producer.
Yeah, I know. Kirby's my writing coach too, and Kirby's demanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair.
Meow, you're dangling that participle.
Cat speaks better English than I do. What the hell? Yeah, I'm so glad you knew that story about Jackie Robinson and Martin Luther King, because I was like vaguely recalling wisps of shadows of stuff, but I should have known you'd know it right off the top of your head, and that's fantastic because that's exactly what I was driving at.
But you have to understand, the person who I know that story because the person who told it to me was my grandfather, who loved baseball. My grandfather loved baseball, and if he was alive, he'd be quite happy that the Dodgers won the series. Because he was a Dodgers fan because of Jackie Robinson. That's what led him to be. He loved two teams in his life: the Dodgers in the NL and the Kansas City Royals in the AL. Because finally there was a team close. He was a Kansas City Athletics fan. Then when the Athletics moved to Oakland, then came the Royals. He became a Royals fan, and that's what made me a Royals fan. So he loved baseball. My grandfather lived, sleep, ate baseball. If you ever want to see a 70-something man become a child, I took my grandfather to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Took him to Cooperstown. When he came to visit me, and I took him to Cooperstown, I saw a 70-something-year-old man become a 12-year-old like that. He was. I saw him excited, giddy, and happy to be there because that was the shrine, and that was the shrine. So no, but for him, baseball was that first ticket through the doorway. It was that first ticket away from. It was that first doorway away from the segregation, away from the noise and the nonsense. And oftentimes, sport has had to set the edge for the society. It's had to set the example more often than not, and sport often does. And I think that's one thing that our adversaries really don't. Our adversaries will never understand. And I would love to think that people. I wished that that schools involved in the conferences and the NCAA would realize that and really act accordingly, because this forfeit thing, this is ridiculous. And again, it's over someone who we do not know. We don't know because she hasn't said anything. And she shouldn't have to say anything. If she is trans, the NCAA already knows about it. The NCAA's already ruled on it. The paperwork's been signed. This is about one trend. And really, all you people that are mad at this young woman, be mad at Redux for dumpster diving just to put her business out in the street and humiliate her.
Yeah, be mad at the frickin' bigots who are making a big deal out of this. You know, as much as I love to see trans people in sports excel, it would just tickle my tonsils if they get to the end of the season And she comes out and goes, yeah, I'm cis. You all stupid fuckers gave up all those games for nothing. Fuck you.
I wouldn't mind that either. You know,
It's-
I wouldn't mind seeing people that look stupid. It's a Money Khalifa all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a Money Khalifa all over again. But that shows a lot of the fears I'm seeing as we head to the polls on Tuesday.
Yes.
We're gonna go to the polls. We're going to the polls on Tuesday. I'm gonna be voting on November 5th. And I want people to understand something, that there's a lot of fear. If you're a cis person, you have trans people in your life, understand why they're screaming right now, why they're crying right now, why they're just not right now. Because they're hurting today. Our people are hurting right now. Our people are hurting. Our people have been hurting for some time. They're hurting right now, and they're crying out because so much is on the table in this election.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just sports. You know, we've got Michael Knowles calling for our eradication. Trump promising that he will make being trans impossible. Like, he'll just wipe it out at any age.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Reed just reported that there's over 100 Republicans running on a primarily anti-trans platform.
I'd love to see them all lose.
I bet they will. Well, maybe not all of them. Some of them have to be in
But the thing is,
deepest, reddest holes.
Also, I want to send a shout out to International Pride Softball. Actually, I'm calling you in. I'm calling. Don't see this as a calling out. See this as a calling in. Rethink having next year's gay softball World Series in Texas. Please rethink that. Don't do it.
It seems
put
unwise.
An event like that in Texas.
Remember when?
If nothing else, they're putting bathroom bounties on people in Texas. Come on.
Yeah, we did have that story too. I totally forgot about that. The bathroom bounties. That's insane. Yeah.
$10,000 in Midland, Odessa. Guess I'm not going to the Midland Lee Permian football game this season. Guess I'm not going.
Yeah, it's wow, the literal bounties on trans people trying to use the bathroom. This is the world we live in 2024, folks. It's going
to make for some interesting court cases. Like, and how did you know that Miss Vivian Wilson is trans? Like, okay, so she has a whole Threads thing about it, but like.
But this is creepy cis people.
Mm-hmm.
This is the creepy cis people.
Yeah.
We at the transgender community would really like it if you quit speculating on people's genitalia. It's rude and it's creepy. Stop it.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure. But the thing is, once the cis people all start pointing fingers at each other, trying to collect those bounties, maybe it'll make the point when there's 100,000 cases tying up the Texas courts and it's all cis people. Maybe that will make the point that they're being really stupid.
We need to have a Spartacus moment with those accomplices, though. You all need to step up and be like, yeah, we don't mind trans people in our spaces, because
that would be really handy.
One thing I want to tell. Now, that's one thing I want to tell some people too. It's time. It's going to be time to step up. No matter who wins on November 5th, it's going to be time. If you really want to step into allyship, if you really want to step into being an accomplice, if you really want to say that there are trans people in my life that I will protect and I will stand by, now's the time to do it. You can't just say, "Oh, I've got your back," while you're sitting way back over there. It's time. You have to be prepared to put your butt on the line.
Like the Freedom Riders, they're allies, white allies. They didn't just wave at the buses going by. They got on the fucking buses. We're calling for y'all to get on the damn bus with us.
And more importantly, they got off the bus. knowing what was waiting. They got off the bus as the bus had a Molotov cocktail thrown through it as it was burning.
If you see someone,
that is the thing that it's going. That's the thing that we have to understand as Americans. And yes, anybody who knows me knows I'm a Marxist and knows I'm a Leninist. But the reason I am a socialist is because I believe in America's potential, but I believe for America to reach it in the era that we have coming, with the challenges we have coming, we have to fundamentally change. It's the only way we're going to survive. But that change first depends on courage. It's going to depend on courage. And it's not going to be easy. It takes no courage to beat down on the marginalized. It takes a lot of courage to stand up. It takes no courage to beat George Norman Rockwell Trump. And that's what you saw in New York on Sunday. If a bunch of Nazis come to your rally and you don't disavow them, then you're at a Nazi rally.
They even called it a Nazi rally. Oh my goodness.
Over and over again.
I have so much to say about that, but the one thing I'll put in here, because it's off topic for the nature of this show, is crowd size, right? Like, Madison Square Garden wasn't even full. Yes, they officially sold out or whatever, but we saw in the interviews with the people behind the scenes, like Marjorie Taylor Greene was there, and when the camera was on her, we could see the stadium in the background. The seats were only like half full, but even, let's just say it was full. Madison Square Garden has a capacity of 19,500. Cool. And Trump's campaign officially said that there were about the same amount of people outside. So let's call it 40,000. Whereas Harris's final rally had 75,000 people inside and overflow out onto the mall in Washington.
Yeah. Oh, crowd sizes are so important to Trump, too. I mean, that's like what his...
Yeah, because I had the biggest crowd. My inauguration
He does not. We have the data, actually. Shoot, I forget which news agency I looked it up through, but, people have been recording crowd sizes at every event. And across this election season, Trump has averaged a crowd size of about 5,000. Whereas Harris has averaged a crowd size of about 16,000 across all events.
Yeah.
So, more than 3 to 1.
It's fake
news.
Fake news. I have all the best people. It's fake news.
Believe what I say, not what the cameras are showing, right?
It's all AI.
I'm not going after the trans.
It's China.
It's China.
Oh yeah, not going after the trans people. He keeps calling it transgender insanity is what he calls it. That's what Trump says.
Well, I mean, there is a kind of transgender insanity.
If we don't stop these transgenders now, they're going to turn your little boy into war. I'm telling you, we got to stop this transgenders and make America great again.
Make America hate again.
Make America white again. That's what it is. Make America straight again. Make America hate again.
Make America Christian again.
Make America berate again. Oh, wait a minute. We're in trouble. President Trump, you're in trouble. Oh, just go after the transgenders. People buy that.
They don't, though.
No, but see, that's one thing. Every time President Trump in his first term got his ass in a crack, what did he do? He'd do something to trans people. He would do something ugly to trans people. Think about every time that he was in a crack, every time he was in a scandal, every time he was in some type of jam, every time he looked bad. The anti-trans stuff coming from the federal government was sure to follow. And that's the thing. This nonsense that you're seeing right now, they went all in on this. My fellow Americans, you have a chance. They went all in. You have a party that went all in on bigotry to get elected. You have an opportunity to stand. See, the America of the future, the America that that these young people are going to be becoming adults in, can only go two ways. There's no third option here. You're either going to have a functioning multiracial democracy that works for the greatest number of people possible, or you're going to have a white Christian militarist gun-toting ethno-state. You can't have both. Those are the choices. This election is a big piece of what your choice will be. What do you want? I mean, believe me, if you want an ethno-state, all I can say is good luck, because the rest of the world is looking to the United States and thinking, you know what? Maybe we need to build a wall around the Americans and make the Americans pay for it. Is that how you want to be in the world? If you want to be a pariah nation, by all means, vote for Donald Trump. If you want the United States to be a pariah, hey, that's your candidate. Me personally, I don't want America to be a pariah.
And it happened when he was president before. The NATO council laughed in his face when he was up there bragging about how successful his administration had been.
Well, he didn't care about NATO because, after all, he's friends with Pooty Poo.
Yeah, NATO's the enemy. That's why. Well, I imagine that if Trump had his way, he'd probably pull us out of NATO. If he could call the shots on that, but because it's the globalist agenda, right?
Mm-hmm. And you know what they mean when they say globalist,
right?
Mm-hmm. We know. That bus is never late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
and I guess
every time it passes, my dogs start barking.
And I guess that's why they're blaming the Jews. Time on our hands, people, we just can't lose. What's going on's not funny. Anti-Semitism's not sunny. Demonizing those people and saying they got all the money. And I guess that's why they're blaming the Jews.
Didn't know we were getting a Carly performance today.
Yeah.
That bus is never late. See, that bus is never late. You know what the Christian dominionist American dream is. It's all the black folks swimming back to Africa, the Jew and the region. That's what it is. These people have really, if you didn't believe that they were that unhinged, Sunday night in Madison Square Garden should have told you.
Yeah.
It should have told, because I watched it. You can't say I watched it. And I'll tell you, it was that bad. It was that freaking bad. It was horrible. It was the worst thing. I mean, it's bad enough that you have a washed up, you had a comedian that makes Rupert Pupkin look funny.
I think his claim to fame is he's Joe Rogan's friend or some shit like that. It's like,
and I'll give bonus points to anybody who knows that reference. If anybody knows the reference Rupert Pupkin, I will give bonus points for that. That is the Carly Webb trivia question for Halloween. Identify Rupert Pupkin.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is.
Bonus points if you can tell me who played Rupert Pupkin.
Oh, so we're talking
a character.
Rupert Pupkin is a comedian who's a movie character. Now, name the movie, name the actor who played him.
Nope. I don't know.
I'll admit, I'm dating myself with the reference because it's one of my favorite movies. It is a favorite film of mine.
Okay, I just a wild guess from the ether.
You looked it up.
It's Robert De Niro in The King of Comedy.
That's right.
1982. Dang.
Yeah.
Charlie,
Thing is, though,
we're fucking
when you
old,
look
yo.
at that, when you look at that cast, but when you look at that cast, it was a pretty awesome cast. It was a pretty awesome cast.
Did you say 1982?
1982.
De Niro, Jerry Lewis, Sandra Bernhard. But it wasn't just the cast that they got. It wasn't just the acting cast. It was the actual late night talk show people that they got to be in it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Fred DeCordova played in it, and he was the executive producer of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for like 3 decades. I mean, you got these people that were like the wizards of late night in on this show, basically playing themselves, but also having a good time playing themselves. And also, I thought De Niro was really good playing better king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime. Great line from De Niro on that movie.
Yeah. De Niro's pretty reliably a good performer. Also, apparently it's a Scorsese film.
Yes, it is.
That sounds right.
It is a Martin Scorsese film.
Based on the cast,
and a good soundtrack. Good soundtrack.
Oh, according to Collider.com, Upkin is Scorsese's most deranged protagonist.
You know, that's about right. That's accurate. I know that. That's pretty. But given in the film, that's pretty accurate. And also has one of my personal favorite women in it. I've been a huge fan of Sandra Bernhard ever since I was like junior high. So
yeah. Now I was not even born in '82, so this is before my time.
You're so young. Why are you so young?
wait, you weren't born in '82. Wait a minute, you weren't born.
I was born in 1983. I was born in 1983.
I was starting junior high school in 1983.
Yeah. I'm 41.
I turn 54 next year.
Yeah. You're about 10 years older than me. I think Ember's 2 or 3 years older than me.
See, that's what's
Somewhere
surprisingly. I thought I was the youngest of the group.
Do I look
Honestly,
old?
No, it's just that usually it's like, well, I'll put it this way. No, none of you look old. Didn't say that. I just was like, hey, I wanted to be the youngest one of the group because just about everywhere else I'm at right these days, I'm the oldest in the group. I'm the second oldest person on my football team.
Yeah, me too.
That's the second oldest person on it.
That's why I cultivated this cast so that I could be the youngest.
I see.
That explains it.
Yeah.
But no, but for example, here's what's wild. I could talk about that. I could talk about this same movie at like football practice, get a blank look, except from a couple coaches who are like, "You're real." I'll never forget that a coach who looked at me is like, "You're really that old, aren't you?" Because this coach and I are talking about, and this coach actually said this. I go back to when this coach actually said, "I go back." He said, "We have a coach. I think, yeah, he's a New York Giants fan." And he says, I go as far back as when Craig Morton was a Giant. And that's probably before your time. I said, you traded him from the Giants to Denver when I was 7 years old. And he looked at me, he's like, what? It's like, yeah, I got traded when I was 7 years old.
Yeah. I would, like, without you saying that you're in your 50s, though, I never would have guessed you were in your 50s. You're freaking gorgeous, girl.
I'd try a little bit.
I love your style, especially.
My style,
Yeah, the socks. Oh my gosh, that... we're going to have socks today, right? On Transposition Sports?
No, Transposition Sports, we're going to take it all the way, since we talked about 1982, we're going to take it back that far.
All right.
We're going to take it back that far. There might even be leg warmers involved.
Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Oh, you're going to go full Valley Girl about it? Like, totally.
Say that. Totally, we're going back to like 1983, and like, you know, we're gonna take it back to 1983. Oh, gag me.
Gag me with a spoon.
Spoon.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, we do have to move the show along. We got some good news coming up. So, Ember, final words, because you stayed over like 20 minutes longer than you usually do.
I know. I'm so tired.
Well,
subscribe. Tell your friends. Share the Patreon. Do buttons and things.
Transpositions.
We need to get. Well, we need to get much bigger, but we need to get a little bit bigger, and we can start turning on features and shit.
Yes, we're right there. Like we're at like 4:30 or something like that. Really close to 4:30. But so we only need 60 more subscribers before we can get the channel set up with, so you all have custom emojis and stuff. And we have some great stuff in mind for that, but no spoilers because you have to wait and see what you get when we get there. So, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Ember. I really appreciate you coming in and getting into costume and getting in the Halloween spirit. Happy Halloween to you, and hope your night isn't filled with the doorbell ringing while you're trying to sleep or anything like that.
No, we don't have a working doorbell. We do have a Great Dane, though, so pluses and minuses. But he hasn't gone off in a while, so I think we're probably good. But yeah, happy Hallowmas, everybody. Day of the Dead tomorrow, all the spookiness. Everybody thinks the spookiness ends on October 31st. But oh no, this is just the beginning. Remember,
Stop the spookiness on November 5th. Because they're creepy and they're kooky. The right wing's really spooky. Disgusting Pit Suzuki. Just stay away from me.
hell yeah. Now that is a good place to transition on.
Yeah, let's go to some good news. All right.
She said
Good news, everyone. Tonight, trans triumphs around the world. Shapiro gets steamrolled. A big legal win long overdue. And more. Good news starts right now. Last week, thousands in Taipei celebrated the 6th annual Trans March, organized by Taiwan's equivalent of the LGBT Hotline Association. The march precedes the General Pride Festival the following day, which has been running for decades and attracts hundreds of thousands of participants. Taiwan is one of the countries that still requires full gender affirmation surgery in order to enact legal changes to identity documents, such as name and gender marker. That's a rule activists are hoping to change. One French foreign exchange student thought the requirement was strangely behind the times, since France has moved past what international bodies now recognize amounts to forced sterilization years ago. Quote, "You should not have to change your body if that isn't what you want to do," he said. Gender is not limited to just 2 options, many participants' signs and slogans stated. That's a sentiment shared by Sean Du, head of the LGBT Hotline Association responsible for organizing the event. He said the purpose of the march is to support both non-binary and binary trans people to strengthen community in Taipei. He said he hopes the event will allow more voices to be heard, to build bridges and increase understanding across Taiwan and Asia generally. The Taiwan Trans March is one of a very few anywhere on the continent that focuses specifically on transgender people. But every time any one of us is just a little more visible, it makes it that much easier for a family to accept their child, a school to accept their student, or a trans person to step out of the closet themselves. And we love to see it. On a related note, but the other side of the globe, Germany's new trans rights law is about to take effect. Tomorrow, trans people in Germany will be able to change their names and their gender markers on identity documents with a lot less hassle. The new Self-Determination Act removes the requirements for 2 psychiatric assessments and a court hearing, though the new law does mandate a 3-month waiting period between filing the application and the use of the updated identity. By way of comparison, here in New York, one of the easiest states for trans people to update their records, there is no mandatory waiting period. But judicial approval is required, resulting in an effective wait time between filing and finalization that routinely runs between 2 to 4 months total, and all that before one can even apply to update certain forms, like a birth certificate, which involves a 6-month or more wait for processing. In that context, a 3-month waiting period seems positively speedy. Any German resident 18 or over can file, and 14-year-olds can do so with either parental approval or through legal action. Parents can apply on behalf of younger children, though the child must be present when the form is filed to confirm their assent to the registrar. Trans Parliament member Nike Slawik, seen here addressing the German legislature, praised the reform as a milestone of international significance. She said, quote, "I think it is a sign of hope in times where right-wing populist voices are getting louder again, and there is an unfortunate rollback of rights of queer people in many countries." Germany is the 12th country in the EU to enact a version of self-ID, saving both citizens and government considerable time, money, and headaches. Richard Kohler, advisor for TGEU, said, quote, "Let's face it, it's an issue affecting a small number of people in a very personal way, and respecting their choices doesn't harm anybody else. But it does uphold the core values of dignity and freedom we all share." Kohler went on to explain why trans rights have become the go-to wedge issue in so many nascent fascist movements. Quote, "We're seeing an orchestrated attack against democracy, against equality, against the diversity in our society, and it's deliberate, and it's organized, and it's heavily financed." He said because trans people are easy targets, being such a small minority, we're easy to demonize, to dehumanize, and once one group has been stripped of humanity, it becomes a virtual inevitability the right will do the same thing to other groups. Beate von Mickel, chair of the National Council of German Women's Organizations and a gender researcher herself, has noticed a similar sinister motive. She said, quote, "It is really bitter for the women's movement that this has become a very divisive issue," adding that far-right extremists are doing their level best to split women on this issue by sowing fears of non-existent threats. She said with 60 women's organizations reporting to the National Council, not one has ever encountered a situation where a trans woman did harm to a cis woman. Not in a crisis center, not in a homeless shelter, not in a clinic, not in a bathroom, not one. It does not happen. But the right wants to instill fear, to turn woman against woman, so they can strip all of us of our rights as women. She concludes by saying it doesn't matter if you're cis or trans. There is more than one way of living gender and being a woman. The German press reports 1,200 people have already filed applications, and the Catholic news agency KNA reports similar levels of interest in other big cities. Herzlichen Glückwunsch to our Deutsch siblings. Another survey finds voters prefer candidates who support trans rights. Following close on the heels of a Pew survey showing swing state voters have noticed this year's deluge of anti-trans political ads is a distraction and a giant red flag that Republican candidates have no policy solutions to offer, A new survey shows voters overwhelmingly support trans rights and candidates who stand with the trans community. Meanwhile, they take a dim view of candidates who run anti-trans ads, perceiving them as, quote, mean-spirited and totally out of hand. Over the last year, Data for Progress consistently found that voters see the economy, jobs, and inflation as the most important issues when it comes to deciding which candidate to support, while all LGBT issues rank near the bottom of the list for election priorities. Perhaps more telling, in response to the question, quote, should politicians spend less time talking about transgender issues and more time talking about priority issues like the economy, more Republicans responded agree than Democrats by a full 10 points. The Republican voters are even more sick of their candidate's bull than the general population is. As to transgender issues specifically, voters overwhelmingly trust Democrats over Republicans 2-1, with nearly 1/5 responding that the government shouldn't be involved at all. Asked whether they would support candidates who support trans rights versus a candidate who opposes trans rights, voters chose to support 52% to 31%. Suggesting that if the presidential race and other contests are closed out on this issue, as seems to be the only strategy the right is offering in the final days of the election, they can expect a staggering loss. Again, even Republican voters favor government staying out of matters like trans healthcare or trans people in sports, 45% to 42%. Every other category of voter offered a clear majority by more than 2-1. If that isn't telling enough, people take an intensely dim view of the ads using trans people as a political football, affirming by a landslide the following 3 statements. 1. Transgender people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. 2. Republicans using anti-LGBT rhetoric is sad and shameful. And 3, attack ads against the transgender community are mean-spirited and have gotten out of hand. Republicans, it's not too late to repent your wicked ways. Take these last few days to publicly declare you believe that all humans deserve human rights. Distance yourselves from the obvious hate campaigns that have lost your side election after election and have alienated the voters entirely, and pledge to support only legislation that gets government the hell out of decisions that are properly between physicians and their patients, sports medicine researchers, and, most of all, trans people themselves' very personhood. Or don't. And the voters will let you know. Our top story today comes with a content warning for sexual violence. A Watertown, New York woman has won her case over abuse she suffered at the hands of police for being transgender. Deanna Latre needed help from police, but got the worst day of her life instead. According to court documents, on September 28, 2017, Deanna had a confrontation with the landlord of her ex-wife where he mocked her for being trans. Quote, he called her pathetic and ridiculous, the lawsuit states. Then, he grabbed a shotgun. Deanna fled, running down the street screaming for help while the man chased her. Eventually, police intercepted them, but to her shock and horror, they were much more interested in her than her attacker. Officers demanded to know why she was, quote, dressed like that, and she explained she was transgender. One officer called her a liar and told her she was a man dressed like a woman. Deanna had been openly trans for 7 years at that point, though it should be noted the process for changing legal documents described in the earlier story has only been available in New York for the past 2 years. In 2017, while there were mechanisms in place allowing a name change, a change to her gender marker was difficult, if not impossible, at that time. After being questioned about her genitals and sexuality, the officers asked how she planned to get home, to which she responded she could walk. One officer replied, quote, "We can't let you walk the streets looking like that." She was placed under arrest because of her transgender status, specifically, and I quote from the court documents, for looking like a transgender woman. She directly asked why she was being arrested and was told, quote, "You have serious mental problems. You are a guy dressed like a woman." The charge that was filed was criminal mischief in the 4th degree, a misdemeanor. This charge was later reduced to a violation, but remains a legal penalty for existing in public while trans. Being booked at the police station, her wig, which was a kind physically attached to her scalp, was forcibly removed, tearing hair away in chunks. This is not a requirement for booking photos. No cisgender people are ever required to remove hair pieces of any kind. They did this to Deanna because, the officers stated in the court records, they considered her a man dressed as a woman. They published the resulting booking photo to local media, making sure to include her dead name instead of her actual name. It should be noted, under New York's domestic relations law, a name can be legally changed through usage, not necessarily only by a court order. And since Deanna had been using her name for 7 years by that point, it can be argued that that was her legal name at the time of these events. She was later placed in hog-tie restraints, wrists bound to ankles, and carried to a patrol car for transport to the county jail. Officers told her, quote, "We are going to show you that you are a man. You are going to the jail and get strip searched. You're going to love that." This was done because the jail's intake protocol requires a visual strip search regardless of the reason for processing. That, however, is not what happened. According to court records, 4 corrections officers, along with the arresting police officer, stayed present for her stripping, mocking her all the while. Her request for reasonable privacy was denied. The audience was enjoying the show. Her request for a female CO to conduct the search was denied because the entire point was to humiliate and degrade her. The CO conducting the search decided on his own volition to conduct a physical cavity search for the benefit of the audience and his own gratification. It should be noted, New York law expressly requires a court order for physical cavity searches, with the only exception being in the case of clear and immediate danger to the officer or arrestee. This was not that. Even when a court order is obtained, such searches are required to be performed by medical personnel, not corrections officers. The CO assaulted her in ways I literally cannot say on this broadcast, but went far beyond the scope of even the pretense of a physical cavity search. Throughout the encounter, the group of men watching insulted and sexually harassed her. When they had finished using her for their fun, Deanna was deposited into a holding cell until morning, when she was brought to a court and arraigned for the terrible offense of being a trans person who needed police to protect her from a shotgun-wielding maniac. It took 7 more years for Deanna to see any measure of justice. With the help of the New York Civil Liberties Union, the case against the Watertown Police Department and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department was settled last Thursday. In addition to compensation for Deanna, the agreement mandates that both agencies adopt policies that bring them into compliance with New York state and federal law. In particular, that they create clear guidelines for the treatment of people, including the use of their names, titles, and pronouns, as well as ensuring respectful transport, search, and booking procedures, and require disciplinary action for officers with repeated complaints of discrimination based on gender. For the county jail, there is the additional requirement that people must be housed consistently with their gender identity and that medical and mental health care be provided without discrimination. So Deanna went through a horrible experience, one that's left her still in therapy for it to this day. But the silver lining is because of her bravery and relentlessness, she's getting more than compensation. She's changed the way two agencies operate and sent a shockwave throughout the law enforcement community across New York State. A signal that trans people are not the playthings of bored, bitter men hiding behind tin shields. A warning that they had best get their acts together or consequences would be coming for them too. A couple of weeks ago, I myself was pulled over because an officer had concerns about my ancient broken down car's safety. And while the deputies I encountered remained professional and I was eventually allowed to go on my way, I found I was terrified the entire time. I couldn't hold my hand steady enough to give the deputy my license. I couldn't remember where I'd put my registration, though it was in the same place I've kept it for over 10 years. I was flustered and shaken for hours after. I live in New York, one of the very safest places for a trans person to live in the US, and stories like Deanna's are not rare. Last year, 2 similar cases were settled, and these are only the incidents where the victims could obtain legal representation and pursue an action over the better part of a decade. Here, in one of the safest states, things like this still happen. Safe is a relative term. Trans people in New York are less likely to be abused or hurt because we're trans, but we are never actually safe. The good news is, of course, Deanna won her case. Justice was served, but perhaps just as important, not only will Jefferson County change their policies, but other counties are following suit. Today, the world is just a little bit less dangerous for people like me because of her courage to stand up and fight back. Normally, we lead off good news with a trans creator you may not have heard about, but that last story was so heavy and this is so good, I just had to move the feature. This week, the spotlight goes to the man that schooled Ben Shapiro so shamelessly in a viral showdown. Let's watch.
Kamala Harris's extreme pro-abortion stance is morally indefensible. Well, okay, we're gonna take this chair. Look at that.
Hey, Ben.
Like a bro, my friend. All right.
I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So, if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that? Because there's no legislation, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body, so why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about abortion...
No, I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist, who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I
got a wife.
recognize that you exist. I disagree with your claim that you are a male.
So if I was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because I was sexually assaulted?
I mean...
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free and all that.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly here.
And so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game. And you've done it the entire time. You've jumped from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work. So how does it feel to have it in your face?
Well, I mean,
Because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women. Because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself? All of us are struggling, and you want to focus on trans people. You want to focus on a black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America's falling apart, and let's give it to a woman right when it's all falling apart, when we'd had, 50 men run it and it looks like shit? Look at where we're at. Surely, where do you think that we're heading? I mean, it's so funny to watch white supremacy just fall apart the way that it is, and you ride so hard. Because guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children. And why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate, and all of this idea that abortion is somehow going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to completely ignore that, and we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have. Why are we doing that? What? I mean, why? Because you want to push white supremacy and because you want to make your check? It does great for you? Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis. And including my entire community and the intersectionalities of black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American? This guy's been accused of rape. Trump, in court documents, and you're backing the guy. You have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? What is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely the American idea, what we believe in as a country, is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had.
Pause.
Pleasure to meet you.
That man's name is Shane Ivan Nash. While Ben would go on to cry about it, saying Shane was all emotions and no facts and logic, the sad reality is Ben got curb stomped. As an undefeated debater myself, I feel qualified to say that if you fail to address a single thing your opponent says, or even to speak at all for that matter, you've lost. Hard. And while it isn't exactly justice for any of the things Ben has done or the fires he's fed oxygen to, it certainly is cathartic. Shane hosts a trans podcast among many other things, and you can find more of him at tiktok.com/@ShaneIvanNash. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. Transpositions Weekly is the first and only trans news show in the universe, and we need your support to grow the shows we can offer. Join Patreon if you can. Spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here, and tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Hit like and leave a comment. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by Bumblebee. And if you don't mind risking permanent joyfulness, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.
right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for sticking around for a little segment I'm just calling Community Notes at the moment. I don't have a good name for it, but what we're doing is just looking at different opinions posted on social media by trans women or trans men as the situation arises, of course. But just to kind of get an idea of the way things are feeling out there in the real world. How the trans people that you may not talk to you in your corner of the world, how they're dealing with things that are happening in the U.S. specifically as we move up towards this election. Let me show you what I mean here. So honestly, don't know how long I can last, both mentally and physically, if the orange one gets elected. And that's the truth. I want to be strong, but I've had to be strong for years and years now. I'm exhausted and I'm tired. I want a happy existence. It means something, but the universe seems to conspire against me at every turn. I've been transitioning for 6 or 7 years now. I don't know, ladies. I feel this, and these will be up on the community board. So feel free to come comment on the status on these so that you can let us know how you feel out there in the community about these situations. So how do you feel about this leading up to the election? I want to know from our community what you feel regarding the status of trans people in public life, wanting to have us removed from public life completely. Ladies, how do you handle bad bouts of dysphoria? I'm at a point tonight where I hate my reflection and my usual standbys aren't working. Friends telling me I look good sounds disingenuous. Comparing my current appearance to old pictures and I don't see significant differences. I tell myself this feeling will pass, but I don't know what to do until that happens. That feeling does pass. It'll never completely go away, though. I'm pretty far into my transition now, and there's still times when I look at myself and I wish I looked different. I don't like my nose, for instance. I'm not a big fan of my nose. Some people like my nose, I guess. It's, there's a certain attractiveness to it, but I don't see it because it's mine and it looks ugly on my face, but whatever. But I can feel what this person's feeling. I've been there. I remember early days trying to do my makeup and looking at myself looking like terrible, like a terrible, like a clown. I thought, well, that's my opinion on how I looked. And I remember crying and looking at myself in the mirror and being like, this is never going to work. It's too late. It's too late. But once you get that train on the track, once you get that train on the track, you can get through it and you can be a happier person. You can be your real self. So stick with it. But what do you guys think? This again will be in the community, on the community board. So let me know what you feel. What words of encouragement do you offer to people that are maybe early in their transition and not feeling the effects quite yet? All right. And lastly here, now this one I didn't bother to blur out the name because she's a public figure. It's Ari Drennan. I'm a fan of Ari's. She's always got the most base takes, and and she was recently on Matt Bernstein's channel. If you like Matt Bernstein,
Stephanie joined.
yeah, they were recently on there, but the thing we're covering, we got Ari posting, and they were talking about Riley Gaines, by the way, if you wanted to know what the topic was. I listened to it last night because I was tossing and turning when I couldn't sleep, and antsy because of the move coming up. But I digress. At the end of the day, I do not understand why so many of you spend so much time thinking about and getting mad about trans people, a tiny and largely impoverished group of people who just want to be left alone. It makes me sad for us and for you. I don't really care if you understand why I transitioned or if you see me as a woman, but I will never understand the certainty that so many people live with, that an experience they don't understand is not real, or why you seem so eager for us to experience more pain in our lives. Even if you wish bad things would happen to me because I'm trans, I hope that you enjoy your life, that the people around you treat you well, that you do not suffer needlessly. I will never understand finding joy in the pain of others. It scares me. And I gotta echo this sentiment, right? And this was just posted today. I didn't even have this in the lineup tonight, but I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta share that because that's a good take. And Ari's one of the people, one of the few people that I'm still on freaking Twitter for. A lot of people have abandoned it. There's other people too. I love my jellyfish girl, which is fish botting. So I stick around for that. And Emma Vigland always has some pretty base takes. So, but other than that, there's not a lot left on Twitter for me. But I'll keep bringing you whatever comes up in this sphere that's relevant to us as a community, us as a minority group, and the intersections that we have with all the other minority groups for the entire LGBTQ community. But that's what I got for the community board today. So when you get a chance, you pop over to the TransPositions community board, and these will be up there, and you can fill me in on how you feel about what's being said here. They should all be up. I believe I have them scheduled to release at 10 tonight. So yeah, you will see that. And I know Stephanie just popped in backstage, so I'm gonna go to a quick intermission here, and then I'm gonna be on the screen with Stephanie and potentially Carly before we go into the sports for the night, because I'm glad to see Steph's back. I want to hear what she has to say. So yeah, I will we'll see you guys in just a second over there. But yeah, from the community board, this has been Bree McCune.
So we were out taking the kids for a ride on a schooner, and I've never been on that boat. I've never sailed on the Lion's Whelp is the name of the boat, and it's a two-masted schooner, not gaff rigged. It's triangle sails all the way, but it's a pretty nice boat, like 90 feet long, and a lot of boat.
Is that the biggest boat you've ever worked on?
No, no, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Were you able to handle it though? Halloween, Halloween sale.
It was great. It was, the kids handled it. That the young folks handled it.
Yeah.
We just sort of sat there and reveled in it. So yeah, it was gorgeous. It was 74 degrees on Halloween. That's outrageous for Maine. But I do recall I was sailing on another Halloween many years ago, when the record was set, and that was up in the 80s. It was ridiculous, but trick or treat. That's what you get.
Amber was hoping you would come dressed as a pirate, but
look, I was moving. I was moving my location within the same building. I had to go sailing with the big boss.
Yeah.
And do all that stuff. So I didn't do the dress up thing.
Was there lots of kids out trick or treating when you were headed back home?
No,
no,
it's pretty. No, I don't know. It's just sort of that tradition seems to have passed into the ozone. Yeah. Lots of young people out in a party mood, though.
Yeah.
Importantly.
That happens.
You're muted, Curly.
Tylenol crisis.
The Tylenol crisis.
Yes, yeah. I remember that bullshit.
It hasn't been trick or treating really got dinged after the Tylenol crisis. It tried, but it never quite came. It never came back from that.
Was that people putting those Tylenol chewables in Halloween?
No, that was when literally somebody was poisoning Tylenol.
Oh.
And it happened in fall, and it happened during the fall, and leading up to Halloween, it just basically was a nationwide canceling of Halloween because of the Tylenol scare. Because somebody was putting cyanide in the Tylenol, and it was like randomly killing people. It was bad. That's why you got childhood packaging now. That's why you have all the child-proof packaging and child-proof pill bottles. You have all that because of that back in '82.
We keep circling back we keep circling back to 1982, like the year before I was born.
I know.
Making me feel like a baby. So we got, by the way, we got Transposition Sports still coming up. It looks like a good one. Looks like a Halloween special that we're gonna have. But I saw.
Told you we took a deep dive into what I call the nasty 19, the 19 plaintiffs of the lawsuit against the NCAA. We're gonna look inside and let people know here's who they are, here's who the key players are, but more importantly, here's the people behind the key players and why this suit exists. And basically, it's petty, it's political. Then we're also going to look into some odds and ends from the campaign, including Mac Beggs isn't having his likeness used to sell transphobia lying down. Mac Beggs is standing up. I say good on him. And a eulogy for a dear friend and someone who is near and dear to so much of our LGBTQ community where I live in Connecticut. In fact, the entire state. The LGBTQ people in Connecticut lost an icon on Monday. And tonight, as part of Transposition Sports, I'm giving someone who's a mentor to me and a mother to me and many her flowers, even if posthumous.
Excellent. All right. We'll probably wrap up the show with the Transposition Sports tonight. So yeah, before we move into that, is there anything any topics that we missed in the opening segment that you ladies wanted to talk about or cover? Anything that we didn't tackle that dropped into the newsroom, maybe?
No, none we didn't tackle.
That's
none
good.
We didn't tackle for the most part. The biggest thing is we know what the predominant news and the biggest worry of our people is, and that is Tuesday.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. I mean, I'm feeling a certain kind of way about it too.
Please go vote. And look at this panel of people when you do. Like, think about us maybe when you do, because there's one candidate on the presidential campaign that's going to make my life, Steph's life, Carly's life, Ember's life hell. So keep that in mind when you're there. Yeah, because this is gonna be the last. This is gonna be the last transpositions.
That's what it comes down to.
This is the last transpositions before the election, so we do got more guests lined up though. So some bigger guests too. So I hope
Bigger than us.
bigger than us. Yeah, we're tiny. A little. We're like Luxembourg of the trans community. Yeah, if the transatlantic was like the U.S., we'd be like Luxembourg, or maybe some tiny little country in Central America. We'd be like Guatemala. I want to be the Guatemala of the trans community. That sounds cool.
Sure. Guatemala of the trans community.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're not the united fruit of the trans community, I'm all for it.
I stand united with fruits. Are you crazy? What the hell?
I'm Chiquita Banana, and I'm here to say I'm really just an agent of the CIA, doing what Uncle Sam tasked me to do to bring democracy to me and you.
That Carly's on a singing kick tonight. She's like doing show tunes, and she's got her own versions of some different songs. My favorite's still the Riley Gaines anthem, though. That one's the Real American Transfo with the Transformers theme.
No, it's a G.I. Joe.
Or G.I. Joe, yeah, not Transformers.
That is the actual G.I. Joe. That is the instrumental of the actual G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Cool.
All right.
In fact, I've got an idea. If Riley Gaines ever comes to Connecticut, I'm going to get a group of people. We're going to serenade her to it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I hope I'm not. I don't want to be like Guatemala. I want to be the Guatemala of.
I see. Fair.
Maybe the Mexico. I'll be the Mexico.
Well, right now, actually, there's some great things happening in Mexico with their new government and their new president. For example, they're going to codify. They're going to do a similar thing to Mexico. What's happening in Germany right now?
Excellent.
Getting your markers in your birth certificate changes. Mexico's health service is working on ways to make gender-affirming care more accessible to more areas within Mexico. And
yeah.
I would laugh my butt off if they do the same thing for HRT that Mexico's doing for abortion. Because Mexico is saying, hey, women of Texas, if you want an abortion, come to Mexico. Come to Mexico. We'll let you in. Just come to Mexico.
I'm telling you right now, there's some. I'm moving to El Paso. There's some stuff in Mexico that I plan on getting done while I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
That
thing I hope
is more reasonably cost.
I hope it gets done in Texas.
Yeah.
Colin Allred beating Ted Cruz. That would make me pretty happy.
That would make me very happy. Very happy indeed.
I won't be able to.
All the time.
I won't be able to vote in Texas this election, unfortunately. I'll vote here, but like I've said before, my vote's kind of like a fly on the wall in this part of the state. But my vote would matter more down there, but because Texas is about to flip purple, I think Texas is going to be purple this time around. Come on, Texas, make us proud. Yeah. And frickin' Boot Cruz too. Jesus, Boot Cruz.
Put the former NFL linebacker in office. Well, why not?
Better than the other option.
Send Ted to Cancun permanently.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think he'd enjoy it. Actually, I think he'd do real well in Cancun for a while.
Gosh, Stephanie sounds so sinister.
It's Halloween.
Doom, doom, doom.
Wait.
All right.
Really, J.D. Vance was on Rogan. Oh God.
Well, Trump was on there too.
Ick.
Yeah. All right, let's do some transposition sports though. I got it right here. You got a lead in for it, Carly, or you just want to go?
Free kick it.
There you go.
Meow! 71! Meow! Razor!
Carly, will you just run the freaking play already? You're an embarrassment to cats.
Shut up, Kirby. Only on Halloween can I be a cat girl, a quarterback, and a sports announcer. Happy Halloween from all of us at Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. This week, we're going to take a little bit of a murky, deep dive into what's behind the college protest crisis in college volleyball, specifically the Mountain West Conference and the continuing saga over San Jose State University and the teams who don't want to play them but won't tell you why. Underneath all the anti-trans hysteria, underneath all of the protest and the controversy, there's a lawsuit behind it. A lawsuit by the Independent Council on Women's Sports, or as I like to call them, Karens Against Women's Sports, because they don't really care about women's sports. They're just here for the transphobia. But this lawsuit is powering much of what you're seeing right now. And I'm pretty sure you've heard of the name of the lead plaintiff. Riley Gaines, a real American transphobe. Riley Gaines is there. But of course Riley Gaines is a part of this. The former University of Kentucky All-American, best known for her anti-trans activism while trying to LARP as an athlete supporting athletes. We know her original story, 2022 NCAA Division I Swim Championship 200-yard freestyle final, tied for 5th with Leah Thomas. Yeah, that Leah Thomas. It's this moment that spurred her new career as a professional transphobe. And it powers this lawsuit and the glaring mandate if it succeeds. Not only does the lawsuit call for the NCAA to institute a total ban on transgender women in collegiate athletics, it calls for all results by trans women in NCAA competition to be retroactively scrubbed. That would take away Thomas's championship in 2022. It would take away CeCe Telfer's championship in 2019. It would also take away the recent successes of student athletes such as Lewis University tennis player, now graduated Brooklyn Ross, and Rochester Institute of Technology track athlete Sadie Schreiner. In sharp contrast to this present pettiness is what Gaines said 2 years ago in an interview with journalist Christina Konwarski. She said, quote, "I never felt uncomfortable around Leah or because of Leah." Now, fast forward 2 months later, Gaines was singing a very different tune.
It didn't make sense to me because obviously being at elite level, you know other elite swimmers, and so to see the name Leah Thomas, who was a senior, it just blew my mind. I wasn't sure who this person was. But it wasn't until an article came out on SwimSwam, I'm sure all the swimmers here are familiar with SwimSwam, that clarified that Leah was formerly Will Thomas, which was a male who swam for 3 years on the men's side at UPenn. I was shocked, but honestly, at this point, I didn't think too much of it in regards to still having my chance to win a national title, because I thought there's no way that the NCAA would allow Thomas to compete with the females. It honestly, truly didn't cross my mind that that would even be a possibility. But of course, I was proven very wrong. But I personally witness and feel the effect this competition had on not only myself, but all the female athletes at that meet. I know it's impossible to speak for everyone on that pool deck, but I can attest to the number of tears shed by 9th and 17th place finishers who miss being an All-American, which is, I mean, an incredible honor, by one place. The extreme discomfort in the locker room, the talk of anger and frustration from the girls who had worked so hard and sacrificed so much to get to this moment. And another thing I just realized over the last couple of days at a dinner with Kim and Marshy in attendance as well, we were actually in DC, and this was the day that the Biden administration rewrote Title IX and obviously redefined sex to mean gender identity. But in regards to the locker room situation, it is now sexual assault to refer to a transgender swimmer by the pronouns they don't go by. But it is not sexual assault for Leah, who has different parts than everyone else at that meet, to be in our locker room.
Gaines has links to a number of right-wing groups, and last year, the Riley Gaines Foundation was organized under the umbrella of the Leadership Institute, a conservative anti-LGBTQ think tank. She's also an ambassador to the Independent Women's Forum and the Concerned Women for America, both conservative anti-LGBTQ organizations. Gaines has spent part of 2024 with the group she's affiliated with on a campaign to harass high school and even middle school transgender girls who just want to compete in sport with their friends. And they've been staging protests, harassing families, and emboldening others to do the same. Case in point, the 2024 Oregon High School Track and Field Championships, when Aiden Gallagher, a trans girl who won a title, got booed. She's even got a Republican candidate for governor in West Virginia to say the following about a 13-year-old trans girl in West Virginia.
Young people, this came up in Bridgeport recently, that someone is doing a shot put. I praised the little girls who walked off and didn't compete because they have to face a male. You don't want little girls to be facing hulking males in the locker rooms.
Now, during the 2022 election cycle, Gaines was in demand on the campaign trail. She even did ads for a number of candidates, most of them lost. She's even made her opinions known on issues beyond sports in setting up for 2024.
I've always been my whole life, like I would say before being conservative, I've always been a Christian. And so my values as a Christian align more conservative. But what I've noticed these past 2 years, I've been really eye-opened to the amount of corruption, to the amount of string pulling, to the amount of really crazy people on both sides. So we talk a lot about the left because they don't try and mask theirs, at least the like very extreme radical left, like those protesters or the people who protest me, which like psycho.
And Gaines has built a group of understudies. Former UK swim teammate Kathleen Wheeler is an ambassador for Gaines's foundation now. Both conservative women's groups that Gaines were a part of and her own group were on hand last fall when members of the Roanoke College women's swim team held a protest press conference after a transgender woman student athlete petitioned to try out for the team and then later withdrew her petition. That prompted the school to adopt the NCAA's then upcoming ban on transgender women a year early. That ban, by the way, has been tabled again as of this current academic year. Now, 7 members of the team are part of the lawsuit. One of those members was then junior team captain Lillian Mullen. She qualified for the NCAA Division III Nationals in the 100-yard backstroke in 2024. She finished 33rd. Oh, by the way, the number of transgender women in her event and in the entire meet, 0. Kylie Eilons is probably the most decorated athlete in this lawsuit. The collegiate swimmer was part of 2 NCAA champion relay teams at North Carolina State. She's a 31-time NCAA All-American and a 5-time Atlantic Coast Conference champion, and a current ambassador for the Concerned Women for America. Rekha Georgi, formerly of Virginia Tech, was one of 2 members of this group who were in the same event as Leah Thomas at NCAA's in 22. Georgi finished 17th in the 500-yard freestyle. That was the event Thomas won a national championship in. And after the NCAA's, Georgi wrote a scathing letter criticizing the NCAA's trans inclusion policy. Now, prior to her college career, she was an Olympian. She swam in the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio, representing Hungary. The same Hungary ran by anti-LGBTQ strongman and American conservative darling, Viktor Orban.
In Hungary, we had to build not just a physical wall on our borders and the financial wall around our families, but a legal wall around our children to protect them from the gender ideology that targets them. Family ties shall be based on marriage or the relationship between parents and children. To sum up, the mother is a woman, the father is a man, and leave our kids alone. Full stop, end of discussion.
One of the youngest members of this group is perhaps a potential future star, Arkansas junior track athlete Ainsley Erzin, who's considered a person to watch for the 2020 Olympics. Now, she's originally from Iowa, and in high school she was to running and soccer what Caitlin Clark was to basketball. She was also a vocal supporter of the anti-trans legislation signed by Iowa Governor and noted Trump Republican Kim Reynolds. She's also the daughter of Todd Erzin, who's a co-producer and presenter on The Steve D Show on the conservative Blaze television network. And he's also known for a well-shared anti-Thomas rant back in 2022.
Help. Well, over at the University of Pennsylvania right now, here's what's happening. There is a guy jumping not only in the pool and destroying the girls' race times, their records, but also taking his naked body into the locker room as well.
The rest of the group are active or former student athletes. 2 of the remaining group are choosing not to make their names public. But one other person has made herself quite public, at least to right-wing centered media.
When the first article came out about Blair being trans and basically saying, don't tell Blair's story, if people ask about it, it's not your story to tell, no comment, like it's probably best if you don't make a comment. And with that being the first meeting, no one really made comments about it, we all just kind of left. And it was just this feeling of like, what about us? Like there's 18, 19 other women on this team that are having to deal with this and the backlash, and then also having to mentally go through the fact of finding out that this is a man we're playing with, and that it's connecting all the puzzle pieces of why Blair played so differently.
So did you feel safe in playing like with Blair on your team? Like I assume you kind of scrimmage, I don't know what the word is, against one another in practice and so on. Did you feel like you were safe?
Oh no. I mean, I think it's noticeable now for anyone that can go on, like our team has access to film that you can go watch for practice. And you can just see girls the entire practice having to dodge out of the way of a swing. So like just in that video that you showed, we're not getting slammed in the face.
Brooke Slusser is the captain of San Jose State's women's volleyball team, and she's their leading setter. She's also joined this lawsuit September 23rd after teammate and former roommate outside hitter Blair Fleming was outed as allegedly being trans by the anti-trans media source Redux last spring. Again, Fleming has not publicly stated her gender identity at all and has played Division I college volleyball for the last 3 seasons. Slusser has remained on the team through this and through the subsequent forfeits by 5 teams in the Mountain West Conference. The conference and the NCAA have remained numb and silent through all of this, and from all accounts it looks like they will remain so. While this group of 19, led by a scorned swimmer with an axe to grind, pleads their case loudly. When we come back to Transposition Sports, shout-outs, a campaign update, and a remembrance of someone near and dear to my heart and many others. That's coming up next, but first a message from the angry gay grandpa. Get your Kleenex ready now.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
I love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Elsewhere in sports, a shout out to Haley Davidson, also known as the hardest working woman in golf. Last week, she was slugging it out at LPGA Phase 2 qualifying school in Plantation, Florida. Now, the Scottish-born, Florida-based golfer is trying to be the first transgender woman to earn an LPGA Tour card, and this year she got closer to the goal. A strong performance in Phase 1 in July, but she tied for 95th last weekend, falling short of the final 35 she needed to finish to head on to the final round of qualifying school in December. Nonetheless, she said, quote, via Instagram, "I've been told I should still have good enough marks to gain Epson Tour status to get in a few events next year, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Since if the NCAA changes their policy at the start of 2025, any and all status I earned will just be taken away." She might have fallen short this time, but there's one thing I know about Davidson. She'll never quit. Campaign 2024 news. We go to the polls on Tuesday. Former high school and college wrestler turned MMA hopeful Mac Beggs is mounting a legal challenge against Texas Republicans who've been using his likeness in their anti-trans ads from his high school wrestling days when he was forced to wrestle in girls' competition due to Texas state regulations. The deliberate nonsense is part of the GOP's continued push to make trans girls in school sports a monster movie. Among those who have partaken in this includes Republican U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, currently in a tight race with Democratic challenger Colin Allred. Beggs said to Lone Star Live Tuesday, quote, "I'm not afraid of my name being known. I'm not afraid of my face being plastered everywhere. What I don't appreciate is my story being told falsely and me being painted out to be something I'm not." This is just one of the many examples of the continuing anti-trans nonsense, brought to you by the Republicans.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
For real, these ads are annoying. And a lot of people are starting to talk about them, but notice whose voices you're not hearing from in all this. The very people who've been the targets of it. Now, last week, some members of the big media have shown some trans people talking about these ads and why they're bad. And in one case, Raquel Willis was on the ABC News streaming service. In another, Montana Representative Zoe Zephyr was on MSNBC in the middle of the day. But notice who's not talking about this and hasn't. No major network news show has given any significant airtime to the thousands of pieces of anti-LGBTQ legislation we've seen on the legislative docket the last 4 years. And guess who else isn't talking about it either?
We called the Democrats and they said, quote, we'd love to help trans people, but it costs too many votes.
I've talked about it a little bit more. Now, granted, I understand electoral strategy. And prominent voices such as Aaron Reed, while still critical, are still behind the Harris-Walz ticket.
I was one of the first to report in early 2023 that trans people would be Trump's #1 target in 2024. As you can see, that's clearly been the case. He spent more money on anti-trans ads than ads on immigration, housing, and the economy combined. When Harris was chosen, I watched her closely. The Biden administration was not flawless on trans rights, and I often criticized it. But not a single federal anti-trans law passed during his presidency. He managed to defeat 50 anti-LGBTQ riders in the budget bills. I'm convinced that Harris will continue this record and nominate judges that will rule to protect our rights for years to come. One of the decisions that gave me comfort was her nomination of Walz, who made his state a safe haven for trans people. Then, in the final week of the campaign, she and Walz were asked no less than 3 times about trans people, and they didn't throw us under the bus, unlike Allred or Sharon Brown. Walz passionately defended trans kids on Glennon Doyle, and then Harris said that federal law requires medically necessary care for incarcerated trans people, and lambasted Trump for spending $20 million targeting us. With over 1,000 bills introduced targeting transgender people, undoing the harm that Republicans have done will require a strategic and sustained effort. The path forward depends on nominating justices who can help reverse these laws. Under Harris, we could see them reversed in 4 to 8 years.
I hear, Aaron, but there's another side to this to consider, the fear. And it's a fear I share. And the reason I'm fearful and frustrated because I've seen what's happened in 2024. I saw LB 68 in Ohio, and I heard Ohio and Michigan state legislators getting together to plan a final solution at their own Von Z conference. And Aaron Reed first broke this story. And yes, I've seen bills all over the country intensify and some of them pass. I've seen sycophants emboldened to go after kids at a ball game. Odessa, Texas has a $10,000 bathroom bounty out right now. And along the way, I've seen people going in on the most vulnerable of the vulnerable. Children, young people. Do we have to show you the booing at the Oregon State High School track meet again? And we've heard from parents who are affirming their children and the desperation and anger they feel.
When the athlete ban was first introduced, she was the only single one trans female athlete in the entire state approved to play. There have been 21 girls in 8 years. Why are we here at 10:30 at night? Why? It makes absolutely no sense to me, and I do not understand it. And as a taxpayer, I'm livid that my tax dollars are being spent on this. My child spent 3 years of her life begging for you all to listen to her and please treat her as a human being. I don't know what good it's done. Thank goodness she has graduated. Did she go anywhere in Ohio? Absolutely not. She won a $10,000 Vax to School scholarship that she refused to use because she cannot stay here. It is not safe for her here, and she doesn't even want to come home to visit.
Mina Zilch's anger and fear has been ringing in my ears from the moment I first heard it, along with the pleas and cries of so many others. I know this. When I walk in that voting booth on Tuesday, November 5th, I walk in there knowing that this vote is my life in the balance. So understand this, cisgender America. If the trans people in your life are feeling the tendency to scream right now, this is why. Finally tonight, flowers for a dear mentor of mine who's now gone home.
My name is Bubblicious, Miss Teal Waters, currently out of New Haven, Connecticut. I am a performing trans woman of color, drag performer, and I am a activist by necessity. But I'm also here showing that as a trans woman and a drag queen of color, I can be out in public and we are no danger to anybody, as much as the far right likes to say we are.
Tia Lynn Walters was a kindly black trans woman in New Haven, Connecticut. She had a loving heart for her community and a fierce passion for her art, on the canvas and on the stage. She was also known to us as Bubblicious, a drag performer for nearly 4 decades and among the founders of the ballroom scene in Connecticut. A scene today that is unsung but fierce and competitive. Don't believe me? Take a look at the Connecticut queens that have been on Drag Race recently. But she was so much more to LGBTQ folks here. She was a staunch advocate, especially for the youth, and she was a loving mother for an entire state that truly was her house.
I'm happy that we have made strides in our community, but we need to have more. We have laws to stop what's going on, but until people take it upon themselves to police their friends, their family, letting them know that those jokes aren't jokes anymore. Okay, they tend to lessen what people are doing to our black and brown community. There should be no more babies on that wall.
Tell it.
There should be no more babies on that wall. Most of those children have not passed 40 years old. Okay, I'm pushing 60. And then people look at me as an elder. I'm not that old, goddammit. I'm just still here. And because I'm here, I speak out. Because I'm here, I do art. Because I'm here, I make myself known. So anyone who comes after me knows you can make it to this age. You can do it, but we just have to protect our babies.
Many of us, this reporter included, were among her children. Waters died Monday at age 56. But let it be known that Bubblicious will live forever, and her work is now ours to do. Tia Lynn Waters truly was a mother. And there were many moments in my own journey where she gave motherly encouragement. One that stood out was after a dance performance I was in called Transbodies 2 in 2019. It was after the show, and I was really proud of my performance. Me, a baby trans, still finding their way through. And there's this icon, this legend, coming up towards me, lovingly put a hand on my arm and said, "Young lady, I see you, I've noticed you, and you're starting to hit your stride." For me, as unsure and insecure as I was, it meant a lot hearing that from her. Rest in power, Bubblicious. We shall continue to keep your flame burning bright. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.
There we go. That was some good coverage. Thank you so much for bringing that to us. Now this ongoing coverage of the Blair situation. Appreciate it.
Before we talk about the Blair situation, I just want to say a little bit more about what Bubblicious meant to so many people in Connecticut.
Floor is yours. Yeah.
She was the queen drag mother of not just New Haven, but of a state. What I said in the piece is that, that's not just selling wolf tickets. In the last 4 seasons of Drag Race, in each of the last 4 seasons, you've at least had one queen from Connecticut. The scene here is, I mean, a lot of people think Connecticut's just that quaint little place between New York and Boston, but I'm going to tell you, the queens and the kings work in Connecticut. I'll stack up Connecticut's performers and Connecticut's drag artists and the scene here, and I'll take all our stars on the road against anybody. And again, I said the queens and the kings. I will take them. I'll take them on the road, and we'll match up against anybody, and we'll give as good as we get. And we're working it on that when we're working it on that stage. But the catalyst for that was TLM Waters. It was Bubblicious. She was the catalyst. She was the guide for so much. And a piece of history and a treasure may not be here in the physical form, but she'll always be there in the spiritual essence. And for me to just sit down and get knowledge from her and just to talk to her and be around her, that was a blessing and a privilege. And knowing her helped me steer my own journey in a direction towards giving back and paying forward, because that's what she was about. And she was gone, and she's gone way too soon. She had more to give. But
I'm so sorry for your loss.
But just know that the example she set will be carried forward on the stage and out in the world. Thank you, Bubblicious. Got you.
Thank you, Bubblicious. All right, I think we're going to wrap the show up here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sticking around through all the segments here, and hopefully we brought, some entertainment to your Halloween night, if anything. Yeah. I usually say, please remember to be kind and take care at the end of my segments. Is there anything you guys like to say at the end of the segments?
VOTE, vote.
Vote. Yes, that's a good one. Let's do that. Vote. Get out there and vote. Every single one of you all. There's no reason not to. Let's do it.
Can't
all right.
Don't want to vote for Kamala? Fine. Vote green. Vote PSL. Vote. Hey, but the point, just don't vote Trump.
Right.
Just don't vote for the orange guy.
Now, if they want to vote Trump, they can go on November 6th and vote for Trump. You don't stop them.
No, I'm just gonna say, don't put that man back in office. I mean, don't put that man back in office, because you know what he do. You know what he does. You know what he's gonna do. You got 4 years of Trump. Why you want another 4? 4 more years of there's fine people on both sides.
Mm.
Do you remember Charlottesville? Do you remember him do you remember him sending cops out to beat down on people in front of the White House so he could have a photo op with a Bible? And that's another thing. 2 Corinthians. Remember that?
Yeah, 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Do you remember the fact that he said, "You got a plan, get rid of Obamacare"? He had 8 years he had 4 years to deliver a plan, delivered nothing.
Concept
That's the biggest thing.
of a plan now.
Thing. Do you remember COVID? Do you remember? Maybe we could hit the body with ultraviolet light, or maybe if you just drank bleach.
Yeah, drink some bleach. Shine a flashlight in your butthole.
Stephanie joined.
You know something? Fool me once, shame on you. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Think about it.
Let's not do that again. It was rough. The union barely held together, especially with the handling of COVID there at the very end of his term. It was, I mean, what if something like that, what if another state of emergency happens like that? We've seen how Trump handles that. We've witnessed it firsthand. We've lived through it. We are in a recovery from it right now. An economic recovery from it. So yeah, go vote. All right. Well, let's wrap it up here, ladies. Thank you everybody for joining, and yeah, we'll be back here next week. We may have a guest lined up, I believe, but let me not promise anything at the moment. But we at least your faithful crew will be back next week, as far as I can tell. As far as I can tell. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Vote.
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 Put your booty to the poll.